Good evening. Let's have a date and time check. Today is Thursday, 4th of April 2013. The time is 14 minutes past 8 in the evening. There was a light there a second ago. It's just chosen to hide itself. The weather is cold and there's been a pretty bitter wind blowing, dropping temperatures to pretty near zero during the day. Snowflakes blowing about, but none having settled. The sky has large clear patches, but also quite a lot of cloud, but quite high cloud. Here we have, for yet another night running, lights. I can assure you that there was one, and I'm sure it'll be back shortly. Possibly that was the scout, just making sure that the sky is clear for operations. And I suppose what this demonstrates, this succession of nights when we've had the lights after weeks when we hadn't, which in their turn broke a spell of months when we hadn't seen the lights. What the succession of nights is showing is that there is an attraction to that spot in the sky, that gathering point, and following that route over towards Aldermaston, there is an attraction for these lights, which in the daylight, in the dawn light, we see as large jet planes. The more often we see them, night after night, as we are doing at present, the more, to my mind, it shows the unlikelihood of these being conventional or military planes. If there was a stack of planes waiting to come in at Heathrow, that isn't the point in the sky at which they stack them. I'm reliably informed. If they're military planes, why do we have a group of military planes flying very close to each other night after night, as we now see, burning huge volumes of aviation fuel, using up pilots' time? What is the cost of keeping a plane in the air? Certainly some hundreds of pounds a minute. Why would they be there in numbers, night after night? Again, at dusk, not during the day. I look often in the day, because it's very easy to keep an eye on that section of the sky. There's one just appeared now, and they're not there in the daytime. It's either dusk or dawn, just before or just after either. So that one's now moving to our right. There is a second one I can dimly see. I think he's disappeared behind the large tree, the larger of the two trees directly in front. Got the camera on partial magnification so as not to blur the images, I hope, as they were a couple of nights ago. So now we've got one having taken off towards the right with his navigation lights going, and another light has appeared just to the right between a chimney and a tree. Again, it would be very helpful to be able to time one in flight to see how long the circuit from the gathering point to the Aldermaston site, how long that's taking them, in order to be able to calculate their airspeed. And hopefully, if we can follow the path of one, we'll be able to make that calculation. So the one that was between the chimney and the tree. It's now moved leftwards, and another one has appeared to the left of the right hand of the two trees. Now approaching the midpoint between the two trees, two headlights, a white navigation light, looks slightly bluish actually, and a red navigation light on the opposite wing, turned behind the tree, so just one in sight at the moment. Just looking out towards Aldermaston to see if the one that took off in that direction, if I can spot him as he passes the gaps between trees, so we know what time he reaches the Aldermaston end of the circuit. I noticed when I replayed last night's video on the PC this morning that for quite a lot of the video there was some extraordinary booming sounds. I have absolutely no idea what they were. Right. So moving the camera and tripod just to show. Oh, I no sooner moved it than it went out. There he is again. There's a light, and we're looking towards the Aldermaston side. He's already been there, and he's now starting the return journey. And meanwhile, look at the gathering place. There's another light. At the moment their headlights are quite subdued. They're not the large, brilliant white balls flaring up which they sometimes are. The one which I can see through the viewfinder at the moment is the only one, and there he is, flaring up into a large, brilliant white ball. And in fact, suddenly there are two. Now the one to the right, slightly higher, I can see has a headlight. I'm looking through the binoculars, and navigation lights to left and right wings. I can actually make out wings. As you can see, the one to the far left has gone out, but another one has appeared to the right of the tree. Headlights a go-go. Meanwhile, a higher one takes off with his navigation lights on the usual path. I'm going to move the camera just to show you that towards Aldermaston is another of the lights. I say another, it could well have been the one we were watching a moment ago when he started his journey back to the gathering point. Looking through the binoculars, I can see white headlight and pulsating navigation lights to left and right of the headlights. I can't actually see a red light. The navigation lights appear to be both white lights at the moment. Now there are no lights in sight. Oh, apart from this one just reappearing from behind the tree. Now he's gone again. Yep, there he is. There is some confusion as to colour when the memory card is saved to the PC. The lights that I'm looking at, the street lights, are a yellowish orangey colour. The planes lights are white. I know that sometimes they look orange on the screen, but to the eye they're white. There's two of them now over the block of flats in the distance. And what I guesstimate to be, well, it's more than a guesstimate, having got closer to them a few nights ago, I estimate them to be at 12 miles distance from me here, and that their flight path paralleling the M4, giving them a sight of Aldermaston and Burfield, and that flight path is itself some 12 miles long. Flaring up nicely as he turns towards us, and we see his headlights. I know it may seem, let me just break off and show you that as well as those two, there is one over the Aldermaston end of the loop. Let's go back to the gathering point. I know that it seems very repetitive to be taking these videos, but the very repetition is demonstrating the peculiarity of what we're looking at. Let's not forget that these are giant lights in the sky which appear to be conventional aircraft's headlights with navigation lights, performing manoeuvres, that is to say following a continuous loop in the sky, which is totally alien to a commercial craft and appears to have no logic for a military craft. And this is happening tonight with at least 3 craft. As Conan Doyle, the words he put in the mouth of Sherlock Holmes, although not exactly quoted, are, once you've excluded all the possible, what you're left with is the impossible. And if we're able to exclude from the behaviour and the frequency that we're looking at, if we're able to exclude the conventional, we're left with the unconventional, which in this instance is the unidentified flying objects. There we see 2 poking out over the tree. From my point of view, it's just luck that I happen to have a window which is pointed in exactly the right direction, because if one was trying to monitor 360 degrees of sky without knowing in which particular direction to look, it's very unlikely to spot what's going on here. But this being a main window and happening to point in exactly the right direction and giving a clear view of the gathering point, has been a unparalleled bonus. Ask yourself, how often at night do you look up in the sky? How often are you outside, outdoors, on a frozen cold winter's night? And if you are, how much attention do you pay to the sky? And what's the chances of you looking in precisely the right direction to see lights such as this and to have an unobstructed view of them? These are huge odds against this happening. And as I'm lucky enough for it to be available to me, let's make the most of it. That one which we can see at the moment is the only one I can see. I can't see any over towards Aldermaston. Nice big flare. Is that a headlight which we see? Or is it some other light emitting mechanism? So he takes off now towards Aldermaston, takes off in the sense that he was already high in the sky, of course, but takes off in the sense of from what appears to be almost a standing start into an immediate and sustained rate of knots. Probably spotted there was a light which was on and is now gone. Just back again, just where the set of 3 street lamps are. For anybody who saw last night's video, I'd spotted 2 pinpricks of light which I'd never seen before, which were in the vicinity of those 3 street lights, and they were so stationary that I felt there must be street lights in the far, far distance. Well, they're not there tonight, and in fact where that light is just coming up now, it's very much all where they were last night, in which case they were holding position, stillness, for an impossible length of time, other than for a helicopter. And why 2 helicopters should have been perfectly stationary in the sky for minutes on end down there, I don't know. So that one, having given a flash in this direction, now takes off in the Aldermaston direction. If we look over towards Aldermaston, or that neck of sky, there's a light there, fairly faint. He's heading back to the gathering point, back to the left, as seen through the viewfinder of the camera. I can hear a jet going over. The commercial planes are much, much higher at this time than the lights we're looking at. Even though Heathrow in a straight line is perhaps 30 or 40 miles away, if they've taken off and are coming this way, or if they're descending towards Heathrow, they're still much higher than these lights are. And their routes do not take them in the line which we see the UFO lights flying in. And I'm sure if I go and look at flight aware now, as I've done many times before, it won't be showing any continuous circuits of conventional aircraft in this stretch of sky that we're looking at. One just appearing from behind a tree, probably having finished the run from Aldermaston. It's going to loop back, ready to repeat his performance possibly, as I have now seen hundreds of times before of the last 3 years or so. So looking at him through binoculars, just see 2 white lights close together. In fact, something to the left of him is flashing navigation lights heading towards the right hand of the two large trees. That could well be one of the UFO lights, because there is appears to be an inconsistency in the flashing of the navigation lights. Anyway, I could be quite wrong. Could be somebody off to somewhere warmer. Well, who can blame him? There are no lights visible at the moment, not to the naked eye anyway. I'm not sure there's much merit in carrying on filming tonight, because the point is proved. Yet another night, at dusk, where we have this collection of lights following this well-trodden path with no obvious explanation as to why conventional or indeed military craft should be doing that. If the lights start to hot up, I suggest I come back and put the camera on later. If you don't find me putting any videos on YouTube, it's not because I'm not looking for the lights, it's because they haven't been there, and there's very little point in putting up a video which says there's nothing there. So if there's an interval of days or even weeks or even months, as there have been, where I'm not posting any videos, it's because there's nothing there worth posting. The weather forecast for the next few days is cold, but not wet, and therefore we might well have, if cloud, high cloud, such as they're operating in at the moment, because of course they are relatively low. When conventional aircraft, which are obviously not going to land or haven't taken off from Heathrow because they are so high, when they fly over, they are, well, literally miles higher than these lights that we're looking at. So we'll call it a night for now, unless something dramatic happens, in which case I'll come back. In fact, there is a light just emerging from behind the tree now. There's no pyrotechnic display, just a gentle floating around, lights in the sky, unobtrusively, not attracting attention, even should anybody be looking, because if some excited child was to point at the lights and say, "Look, Daddy, there's a light in the sky," Daddy would say, "Well, we are near Heathrow and there's a lot of planes about, there's one of them," and therefore they hide in full view. Nice bright flash from him as he turns this way. And now he's gone again, heading back towards Aldermaston. And I see no other lights in the sky at the moment, so I'll switch off for now. Cheers.